All right, and you guys will probably have to accept the recording, so go ahead and do that. So this is our registration workshop. We know a lot of students definitely enter Cal Maritime and want to know how all the tools work, so that's really important. We basically are going to review 3 different tools today. We're going to review your Smart Planner, and your Smart Planner is basically your customized roadmap. You have your curriculum sheet that you were introduced to when you first entered Cal Maritime, and that kind of lays out your 4-year plan with all your courses. But your Smart Plan is really cool because what it takes into account is if you've transferred any courses in, if you have any AP scores that already fulfilled a class, and as you take classes at Cal Maritime, those classes that you've already fulfilled will come off your Smart Plan. So it's really nice because it's kind of customized for you. It already takes into account everything you have. What we also are going to review is your schedule planner. That is a really great tool because what it does is it takes all the classes that you want to take and it fits it all together in a puzzle. So it'll give you like, hey, here's 45 schedule options with these 6 classes that you plan on taking. You can work breaks into there. If you have basketball practice, if you have, if you're part of our SSOP program, if you have different, activities during the day that you need to try to not have classes during that time, it allows you to customize your plan a little bit. And then what we're also going to look at is enrolling in Peoplesoft and how to actually make sure that you've been enrolled in your classes. And we'll go over what some of the common errors are, maybe some kind of what happens if you try to register for a lecture without the lab course and how to fix those errors. So we're going to look at all those different things with you. And if you have questions, please feel free, like I said, throw them into the chat and we'll answer them at the end. So I know you guys all got the email from the registrar this week that you guys will be meeting with your faculty advisors, and what you're going to want to do is use these tools to build yourself that Smart Plan. So when you meet with your faculty advisor, it's really easy to look at and make sure that you're on track for your 4-year graduation. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. So the first thing you want to see is your Smart Planner. So your Smart Planner is basically in your Peoplesoft Student Center, and there will be a little blue link and it'll say Smart Planner, and you're just going to click through and you're going to build it. What this is going to give, it's like I said, it's customized. It's going to give you your general education class options, which is really nice. If you need to take a lower division humanities class, you can click on that class and see everything we're offering this term that will fulfill that area. So you don't kind of have to do that guesswork of will it work, or is that a social science, or is it a humanities? As we go down, you're going to basically click through. Don't worry about this first screen. And then you're going to look at your plan. There's different buttons on here that you're going to want to see. There's edit preferences to kind of see how many units you want to take each term. This we highly suggest doing with an advisor if you're going to change this at all, because what it can do is kind of look at a 5-year plan. And then also the biggest one you're going to do is arrange my plan, and that allows you to move your classes around. So if you look at your plan and there's any classes in this unassigned requirements area, that's a class you need to take to graduate, but it's not assigned to a certain term. So you need to move it to the term that it should be in. And you can look at your curriculum sheet to figure that out. So basically, if you go down and move your classes around, that will help. Don't worry about those. So everyone's seen their curriculum sheet, and this is kind of like you're doing a jigsaw puzzle and the picture on the top tells you where to put everything. That's what this curriculum sheet is. So you'll move those classes into the different terms that they should be in. Now, I know some of you have transfer credit and some of you have AP credit, so you might be light in some terms. Maybe usually where you would be taking like 17 units and you only have 14 scheduled, and that's where you'd work with an advisor and maybe balance out your schedule a little bit and move a few electives around. The nice thing about Smart Planner I'll throw out there is if there is a prereq to a class, or if we only offer, for example, like Chemistry 105 only is offered in the spring, you won't be able to move the class to a term that it's not offered, and you won't be able to move a prereq after a postreq. So basically, Smart Planner helps make sure that you're not missing a really important class or scheduling a class in a term where it's not going to be offered. You'd get an error. And basically you want to always follow it. You won't be able to save your plan. This is where I said like customizing options, how many units you want to take each term. So you can basically do arrange my plan and drag and drop using page up and page down. And holding on the control button makes it a lot easier. Otherwise, you're just kind of slowly moving each class. So that's a little tip for you guys. And you want to refer to your curriculum sheet about that. So hovering over each one. Also, you can, if you hover over the prereq, it'll tell you which classes need to come before or after the class, and that will help. And it'll also, if you hover over the class, it'll tell you what term it's usually offered. So this is definitely where I was saying choosing your electives, right? So American institutions, lower division social science, most of you have to take one of these. So if you click on the blue select button, it'll show you all the classes that we offer this term that's going to fulfill that area. And you're actually going to select it from there and put it into your plan. And that'll make it a lot easier when you move it over to Schedule Planner. Like I was saying, there are errors. So if you try to move a class when it's not offered, so like EPO 110, say you put it into the spring and it's not offered in the spring, it'll give you an error and you won't be able to save the class. So you don't have to worry so much that you got to the end of graduation and the class isn't offered anymore. I would never say don't click the refresh button. It could throw your plan up in the air. So only do that with an advisor. And that is a lot of Smart Planner. So I would definitely recommend looking at that. When you work on it with your advisor, you can lock down the plan and then make sure that all the classes that you chose stay in the right area. So hopefully you all find that really helpful. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and let Crystal show Schedule Planner.
All right, let me share my screen. Perfect. So Katie talked to you about step one, which was Smart Planner. So you're going over what classes you need to take this next semester. So once you figure out those classes, you'll go into your schedule planner to actually build your schedule and pick the sections that you want, that for the times that you want and everything like that. So in your Peoplesoft student systems, you have this blue link that says Schedule Planner. You can also get to it from your Smart Planner. So after you're done reviewing your Smart Planner, there's a Schedule Planner green button you can click on too. So a couple ways to get to it. Once you're in Schedule Planner, it'll ask you to click here to go ahead and go into it. And then it'll ask you to import your cart from your Smart Planner. So it already is reading your Smart Planner. It'll say something like, you have 7 classes in your Smart Planner. Do you want to bring them over to your Schedule Planner? And you'll go ahead and click yes. And then they'll pop up over here. Couple of things you want to take note of. By default, Schedule Planner looks at open classes only. So if you want to look at full classes or full and waitlisted classes, you'll need to change that. We always recommend, trying to get into the open sections first before adding yourself to a wait list. So once you're in Schedule Planner, you can click on the Add Courses button and start looking through the different sections that you want to add if you're if not everything imported over, or you want to take out maybe the lower division humanities and you want to do your social science instead, you can add or delete classes from your Schedule Planner. You can also add breaks. So if you are on crew and you have early morning practices and so you can't really take a lab at 7 a.m., you can click this button and click Add Break and say, I'm not free from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. so that we can try and find schedules for you that are not in the mornings or even in the afternoons or anything like that. Yeah. So, yeah, open classes. When you click on Add a Course, you'll click the subject and then the course number. It'll look something like this. So if you're trying to add Chemistry 105, you can go ahead and select that and add it to your desired courses list. And once you've added all of your desired courses, you would click Done. and you would click generate schedules. So once you click generate schedules, it'll either come up with all of the options that your schedules, like your classes can fit into a schedule. If it comes back with an error that says there are no desired schedules, it means maybe that break isn't going to work, or you put some sort of filter on there where maybe you selected only, morning classes and not afternoon ones, and there's just no possibility for all 8 of your classes to fit into that schedule. So we might recommend taking off some of those locks that you had previously placed to make a schedule work. Some of you might have like 800 schedules pop up, and that's too many to go through. So maybe you do want to start putting on breaks and saying like, well, maybe I want to sleep in on Tuesday and Thursdays, or maybe I don't want evening classes. Try and whittle down your schedule options by putting in those breaks and seeing what we can get you down to. So let's say you go through all of your schedule options and you find the perfect schedule. We always recommend a couple of backups. All right, so picking maybe 2 or 3 schedule options. But let's say you find the perfect one, you saved your other 2 backups. This is the one. You'll want to send it to your shopping cart once you've selected it. Remember how we kind of mentioned, you want to make sure that there are still open seats and everything. If there's no seats, you're not going to get into the class. So before you send it to your shopping cart, make sure that it has open seats everywhere. And once you click send to shopping cart, it'll send it over to Peoplesoft. And Katie's going to go over how you enroll in classes in Peoplesoft once your registration appointment has come up. Perfect. Anything I missed, Katie, with Schedule Planner?
So the only thing I was going to mention, like Crystal said, 2 or 3 backups is really good. So there is a selection when you're in there. There will be a little heart button. And what you can do is, I'm not seeing it on this screenshot, but what you can do is you can click the heart and you can name like first choice, second choice, third choice. And when you're looking at your generate schedules, you'll see those tabs, which is really nice. So if you want to look at just those 3 and compare them, and then once you send your choice to the shopping cart, if you go at midnight to register and someone registers ahead of you, you already have that backup selection and you can go ahead and register for that schedule. That way you're not spending another 15 minutes while people are registering trying to pick out a new schedule. So that's why we always say it's good to have a few backups right then. So what I'm going to talk about now is registering through Peoplesoft. So the reason we're showing you all these 3 tools is it's kind of, they all go together and you want to be careful that you don't stop at just one of them. I think of it like Amazon, and that helps me, right? So if I go to Amazon to shop, I'm going to go and I'm going to look for the item I want. Then I'm going to pick, and that would be Smart Planner, right? You're customizing what you want. Then Schedule Planner would be you picking out like making sure your address is right, your credit card's in there, how many of them you want. And so that would be in your shopping cart. And then Peoplesoft is where you actually order the item. And then you get your classes registered. So we've had students, unfortunately, who have only done Smart Planner or have only gotten to Schedule Planner and they thought they were registered. And then by the time they figured out they weren't, all their classes were taken. So that's why we're always saying you need to do it all the way through to the green check marks in Peoplesoft, or you didn't register for the classes. So what you're going to basically be doing right now is I'm going to show you a screenshot of your Peoplesoft account. So if you're in your Peoplesoft account, this is kind of what your student center looks like. And essentially you see your current classes. This is where you want to pay attention to your holds. There's lots of different holds out there. There's a financial aid hold, there's accounting holds, there's an advisor registration hold, which most of you have right now. And what that will do is prevent you from registering. Anything that says a reminder on it isn't a hold, so don't worry about that. It's just reminding you have something to do, but it's not going to prevent you from registering. So the advisor registration hold is what you need to do, what you need to get cleared with your faculty advisor. You need to finalize your schedule, make sure it looks good with them, and then they will lift this hold. I always encourage students, make sure this is lifted before registration. So you may meet with your faculty advisor and everything sounds great, and they might be lifting them at the end of the day. So just double check it the next day and make sure it was lifted. Also down here, enrollment dates. So the Office of the Registrar will be assigning registration dates in the next week or so. So what you want to do is go into Peoplesoft and check when your registration date is. It usually goes, so it starts on the 9th, and it usually, for this term, and it usually goes like Monday priority registration, then seniors, then juniors, then sophomores, then freshmen on Friday. So what you want to make sure you're doing is getting ready at midnight on your date. So freshmen would be Thursday at midnight, and you're registering for your classes. So you just want to double check what that looks like. Also, your program advisor, that's your faculty advisor. So this is where you find who this is in case you didn't know who it is, so that you can go ahead and contact them. A lot of them are available through the Passport, so you can make an appointment with them to get your schedule confirmed and your hold lifted. But if you don't find them in the Passport, shoot them an email and ask for a meeting. So that will be really important to do. So the other thing is, once you do all that, then you're going to go to enroll, and you've already picked out you've done your smart planner, you've picked out your classes and schedule planner, you've sent them to your shopping cart. You go to enroll, and then you scroll down, you pick the term, and then you go into here, and what there will be is a box that basically says import cart. You won't have to pick out each class like we used to have to do. So you'll just import cart, you'll keep clicking that until the cart is empty and everything's loaded. And then you'll see your classes. If a class is full, I always recommend finding an open section, but if they're all full and you want a wait list, you need to make sure you click on the wait list button. We've had students who thought they added themselves to a wait list and they didn't click the wait list button. It'll tell you what number you are on the wait list. Maybe you're number 1 on the wait list, maybe you're number 5. So you want to know kind of where you stand, so you know if you need to find another section of the course. So you're going to go ahead and do that. And then you'll see your shopping cart. It'll list all the courses. It'll show you if they're still open or not. You'll proceed to step 2 of 3. You'll confirm classes, and this is that magic button. You'll say finish enrolling, and these should all change to green check marks. If for any reason they're not, you will get a red X, and it'll say something like this class requires permission to enroll. You will get this if you try to do that right now, because registration hasn't opened and you don't have a valid registration date yet. But at midnight on your registration date, you shouldn't get this class unless, for example, there's another error, and Crystal's going to go through some of the tips and some of the rules for registering for classes. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and let Crystal go over some of those tips.
Yeah, so a couple of typical errors students get when they are registering for classes is they're selecting a class that has a lab, or what we call a co-requisite. So let's say you're trying to register for Physics 100 next semester. Physics 100 requires that you take Physics 100 lab with it. So if you try to add Physics 100 without the lab, you're going to get an error, and it's not going to let you register. That's also the case if the lab is full or the lecture is full, and you're trying to add an open section of lecture and a waitlisted section of lab. They need to both be open sections for you to be able to add both. Our recommendation is pick an open section, and if you're hoping to get into a different times section, swap it later on, right? Like get yourself enrolled in that physics and that physics lab, that chem lab, that oceanography lab. Just get your hands on that lab as a backup. And then if you want to try and swap times later on, you can. Registration runs for 2 full weeks. So the first week, everybody's got appointment times. The second week, you can keep changing around your schedule. So you can keep going back into Peoplesoft. You can go into Schedule Planner and see if classes or seats opened up in a class that you originally wanted because somebody swapped out of it. So you still have an additional week after you register to keep making changes to get your perfect schedule. I'm trying to think of other common errors that students run into. If you haven't completed the prerequisite, which is, you need to finish Math 100 to get into Physics 100. So if you haven't finished Math 100, you're not going to be able to get into Physics 100. So it'll let you know if there's an error and you can't get into the class because of a prerequisite. Another common error is some electives are reserved for certain divisions of students because it fits that division's schedule the best. So I know in the past, MT students had first dibs on maritime culture. And that's because that humanities, that lower division humanities class fit their schedule. That cohort needed that class to be reserved for them to be able to make all the rest of their classes work. So for the first couple of days, MT students got first dib at that class, and then any open seats opened up after a few days for students to be able to take those classes. So like Katie and I had said before, you can keep checking in and seeing if open seats are available. There is a list on the Office of the Registrar webpage. It's not up yet, but it should be up soon, and I'll show you really quick. Office of the Registrar, if you type in Registrar into the search bar, they usually have some sort of list posted for like class requisites, and you can see if humanities is open for everybody to register or if it's saved for certain divisions for the first couple of days. Under this class schedule and registration information, there is registration tools. So this kind of goes over what Katie and I were talking about. It's a how-to document on how to add a class. There's also a general electives list here posted. We might not be offering all of these this semester, and usually Registrar highlights the ones that are available for this upcoming term, so you can keep an eye out for that. But if you're asking yourself, I need a lower division humanities, what is that? You can check it in your Smart Planner, but you can also see a comprehensive list here of everything that would count for a lower division humanities, or everything that would count for a lower division social science, and on, lifelong understanding, life science, physical science, stuff like that. So the Registrar's website is super helpful. University advising, our website also has links to these areas. So if you ever need to go back and review how to do one of these steps, you can go to our university advising webpage to advising tools, and we've got all of these how-to here's for you. So how to enroll, the class elective list, curriculum sheets, schedule planner, Smart Planner. So feel free to refresh if you need it. And then you can always email us if you need help, right? If you need us to walk you through the registration process in a couple of weeks, feel free to make an appointment with us. We're in the Passport or Passport Navigate app. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. What did I miss, Katie?
I think just making sure you guys are checking on the Registrar webpage, because as Crystal said, those class requisites and the electives will be coming out soon. So you'll see a list of, I mean, there's no guarantee, but it kind of shows you all our social science classes we ever offer. So if you're trying to decide between a humanities and a social science class, and something looks really interesting, we can't promise that it'll come up again, but usually it's offered maybe in the fall or spring, so you can get an idea of like future courses you might want to take that are of interest. And then the class requisites list is really important to look at, just because, for example, and I think Crystal covered some of this, a class may be required for the juniors, and even though if you try to register it for it, say on Tuesday as a senior, but you can't get it because you're not in that graduating class that it's being held for, you might be able to register for it 2 days later around 5 o'clock, because it'll say end of business, we're going to lift this hold after all the juniors have had a chance to register. So we've had students try to register before, and then they got the error, they didn't try again after it was open to them, and then registration's over. So you will still be able to register for classes the first 2 weeks of school. That's add drop, and that always happens. So that's something for everyone to always remember. Add drop is always the first 2 weeks of school, and you can change your schedule. You can add classes, you can drop classes. Overloading, anything over 20 units, you have to get an overload approved, and those documents are accepted by the Office of the Registrar, but any waivers of rec are not accepted until the first day of school. So you just want to make sure that that's important to remember. So I think that's a lot of it. Crystal,
Couple questions in the chat. One
Oh,
question it
awesome.
looks like is from a transfer student. So they're going to be taking a course at San Jose State University next semester, specifically international experience. So they're looking to take a class somewhere else. What would their next steps be?
So that is an excellent question, especially during registration. We have students who want to take classes at other schools. Sometimes you want to take an elective at a community college, so that can be really important to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to, let me share my screen. So basically, under the Office of the Registrar webpage, if you go down here, there's student forms and resources. You can go into here and this lists a lot of those different forms that are needed, right? The waiver of requisite form that we talked about. If there's a prereq that you, or you want to take welding, but you're not an engineer, right? And maybe that's only held for engineers, you would need a waiver of rec to get into that class. But for the course equivalency request is if you're taking a class at another school. So if you go to course equivalency request, you would fill this out, your name, your ID, what course you want to have fulfilled, like that international experience, what the course is called at another school, where you plan to take it, the description, and then you just submit it. Just remember, they can take up to 2 to 3 weeks. So you don't want to like be registering for a class at another community college and filling this out. You want to fill this out ahead of time. And Crystal and I are always happy to help any student fill this out if you have a question. But like if you want to do a lower division humanities over the summer, you would just fill this out, submit it, and then you get an email, and the email will tell you yes or no. And if the email's a yes, that's your insurance that the course you're taking is going to meet your graduation requirements for that requirement at Cal Maritime. So that's really important. Couple other things, just because we have you, the advance in class. I don't know how many of you are transfer students, but maybe you're supposed to graduate. Maybe you came in this year, but you have enough transfer credit and you're supposed to graduate in 2023. You probably want to meet with your faculty advisor and do a plan. That SMART planner, you probably want to plan for 2023. And then you want to probably fill out an advance in class form. And this would be in the future, but it would be good to do that so that you can make sure that your classes line up with your graduation and they're not held for another class, because you plan to graduate in 2023 with that graduating class. Any other questions, Crystal?
Yeah. So moral of the story about that, get classes pre-approved before you take them somewhere else.
Yes.
When, I know we might have touched on this, so when does registration for spring semester start again?
It starts on November 9th. So during that week, you will have an assigned date based on your class standing. And class standing is different than when you entered school. Class standing is based on how many units you've earned. So you may have come in this year, but you may have already done community college, or you already have a bachelor's degree. So you might have a class standing of a senior because you've already earned 90 units. So you might actually register on Tuesday versus all the freshmen who are registering on Friday. So that's why you want to check that Peoplesoft account and see what date you actually have for your account.
Perfect. So if a student wants to switch their major, how do they go about this?
Yeah, so I actually left this up because I figured that question would come up. So students, for a change of major, these are the two forms, and you really want to read through these guidelines. So change of major into a non-impacted major. So if you want to go into business or global, this form needs to be filled out and signed by the chair of the new department before the first day of the next term. So that's important. If you want to go into an impacted major, and we need to add oceanography to this because oceanography is in the impacted section, you would want to fill this out. This is accepted between October 1st and November 30th. So these are only accepted once a year. You'll want to read through all the guidelines, and then you're going to need to meet with your current advisor, your chair, the new programs chair, learn about the program, review the curriculum sheet, and then you would turn this in. You would receive a decision in February, and then you would start the program the next fall. So that's, if you're thinking about that, please make an appointment with Crystal or I. We're happy to review this with you and look at it, but it is due by November 30th with all the signatures. So it's definitely the time to look at it.
It looks like there was a question in the chat about what is the class that's called Elect 22. So on some of our older forms, we have like Elect 22, Elect 21. How would they identify that class?
So when the class electives list comes out on the Office of the Registrar webpage, you will see, and I'm trying to remember if it's still on our curriculum sheets. Let me see real quick. I'll jump to FET for a second. I think we changed them so that it just has, okay, so it still has like Elect 21, and then you can see that's our humanities elective. So just look at your curriculum sheet and it'll list what kind of elective those are. So Elect 32 is like your social science upper division elective. So that will help identify what you're looking at. So for this question, Elect 22 is an upper division humanities elective.
Perfect. I know Dean Meyer has kind of been messaging throughout. And so he just wanted to remind you guys that it is your guys' responsibility to sign up for the right classes. So, you know, use these tools as a guide to sign up for the right stuff and then get second eyes on it, right? Me and Katie, your faculty advisor, another instructor, anybody, just to make sure you're on the right track. We really don't want you to get off track. So we've got a lot of tools here to help you stay on track, you know, finish in time. If you're a transfer student, we can help provide and build a plan with you to do, you know, finish in the time that you want to finish. So use your resources, use your peeps. We're part of your peeps to get everything in place so that you register for everything. I think Dean Meyer also recommended, like, if you're a transfer student or even a freshman and you're looking at taking a co-op or an internship in the future, you can start working with career services right away. Feel free to make an appointment with them through that passport, but it's never too early to start thinking about your upcoming summers and what you're going to do for your internship opportunities.
And just so everyone knows, the Office of the Registrar webpage is where you're going to find those class requisites and the electives list. So right now they have important dates. This is where it says the registration order is as follows. So this is where I was saying priority is Monday, the 9th, seniors are Tuesday, and then it's midnight of that night before. So that's always important, but you will see the links for the registration on this main front page once they're published. But that doesn't stop you now from going into your Smart Planner and selecting your electives and selecting your courses and arranging it all, because that's really what your faculty advisor is going to want to confirm with you. When I was in college, I wanted to know when I was going to graduate. I wanted to make sure that everything lined up and I wasn't missing any classes and I wasn't going to have that panic moment in my senior year of, oh my goodness, I missed a class. So that's why we make sure that you guys have a hold on your account every term, that you confirm it with your advisor. And it's really good in case you are moving classes around, just to make sure you're getting that balance to ensure that you are going to be successful. Want to really encourage you guys, especially those first 2 weeks. If you do find yourself struggling, I always tell students to look at all their syllabi, map it all out, make sure it looks good. And if you start to get concerned, come see Crystal or I, or go see your faculty advisor. Maybe we need to move a class around. It's not always possible, but we definitely look at different options so we can make sure that you guys feel successful. And that's really important to do. So I want to make sure you guys have that support and know what you're looking for. Any other questions?
Feel free to put them in the chat. I think we're caught up right now, but if any extra questions come through.
So one question I've been getting a lot of lately through email is, what if I can't find my faculty advisor in the passport? I've had a lot of that happen. So if you cannot find your faculty advisor in the passport to make an appointment with, email your faculty advisor and ask for a meeting. Unfortunately, not all faculty are in there. So you want to make sure that you reach out to them now so you can get a meeting scheduled before registration starts, because you want that hold lifted. Crystal and I are definitely available in the Passport. So if you guys want a one-on-one meeting, if you're a transfer student, if you believe you already took the English 100 class through a transfer class, but it looks like it's still on your Smart Planner, contact us. We can double check it for you. And maybe you did, and then we can remove it and you don't have to take that class. So we want to make sure we're always looking at those things and getting that all figured out for you. So we're happy to be creative and look at all those different options. Okay, I think we're all caught up. Oh, yes, your advisors can definitely be found in Peoplesoft. So let me pull up that screen again and share it real quick. So what you want to look for is, this is your Peoplesoft Student Center, and your program advisor right here is your faculty advisor. So that's the name. You can pull them up in Outlook and shoot them an email. So great question.
And those are the ones that remove your hold.
Yes.
So nobody else can remove your hold except for your program faculty advisor. So
Exactly.
I want to meet with them.
Perfect.
Any other questions? And if you think of them later, right, you forgot, and then it comes to you, right, shower thoughts, email us, right, advisor@csum.edu. We'll put it in the chat. Feel free to shoot your questions over to us and we can answer them as they come up for you guys. And then, like Katie mentioned, we're happy to schedule, feel free to schedule an appointment with us and we can walk you through it too.
Absolutely.
We do tend to book up, so, make sure that you give yourself enough time to meet with us in advance and everything.
Yeah.
I'm going to put our email in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Perfect. Yeah, shoot us an email, make an appointment through Passport. We're more than happy to help you. There's lots more questions, I'm sure, and it always depends on the plan you're trying to do. Maybe you want to take summer classes and do a victory lap instead, which means if you're doing cruise, you would take cruise the last summer after your final senior classes. So there's those different terms that people throw around, and we're always happy to figure those out with you. So thank you guys all for coming. We really appreciate it. We will try to post this to our website, and we look forward to working with you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.